Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield, talking to some old friends, some of my favourite people. And Terry Fator, how are you?
I like that you say some of your people, because I'm a ventriloquist, and so you are meeting with some of your favorite people here, I guess. I hope, at least, with me and all the characters I create.
You know you're one of my favourite people. I've been seeing you for literally 10 years. Congratulations. A decade here at Mirage. It's remarkable.
Isn't that unbelievable? To have a residency in Vegas, not only a residency, but one of the top residencies in Vegas and in the history of Vegas, what an unbelievable experience. And the truth is, I don't have a lot of time to enjoy it because my job is to constantly create new characters. I created 5 new characters for my 10th anniversary show, and what I'm going to do for my 11th anniversary is going to knock people's socks off.
I think that's what it is. You've got to constantly be reinventing yourself in this town. And what's amazing to me is the mistakes they make trying to bring people in who fail, and they try again and again. When you get it right, it's amazing how people love you and keep coming back. And you've got that, haven't you? Because the show keeps changing, people want to keep coming and seeing it.
Exactly. And you know, I can tell you right now what will fix all of that failure and all of those things. Stop trying to outdo everyone and everything. Just go out there. If you're Bette Midler, you don't need 50 people dancing behind you. You don't need gigantic. She had this enormous a wall of luggage. Very funny, very clever. You don't need it. Bette could have gotten out there. I would have paid any amount of money to watch Bette sing and tell jokes for 2 hours. And that's what, you know, you come here, you see me. Now, I've got 24 different puppets in the show now, in the one you're about to see. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's me and my band on stage, and that's it. And we're just no bells and whistles. We don't have fire. We don't have explosions. And that's what people pay to see. They pay to see good talent. They pay to see good entertainment, and that's my commitment to myself and to all my fans.
What's interesting, you're being slightly humble because the band are amazing and the show looks great. I said in my review of Cher last year I'd paid $150 to see a woman come on stage 50 minutes late and get changed 32 times and be off stage more time than she was on. You're the opposite of that. I mean, you almost give too much, really. You make life very difficult for yourself.
Oh, Alex, if you think I give too much, wait until you see the show tonight. Okay, so I did the 10th anniversary show. I brought in all the puppet makers that made my puppets that I'm using on stage, and they were all there in the audience and loved the show. And after the show, one of the puppet makers came up to me and said, "You're not doing that show every night, are you? Because that would be physically impossible." And I said, "No, that's my show every night." And he said, "How is that even possible?" I mean, it's literally nonstop. I don't do puppet. I don't do where I announce the puppets. I don't introduce the puppets anymore. It goes puppet, 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 puppet. And now I'm putting in so many more. As we have Willie Nelson, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Elton John, David Bowie, Stevie Wonder. It's just limitless. And the great thing is I have the ability to create limitless amounts of shows for my future audiences. So hopefully we can keep doing this.
And what's magnificent about the show is these puppets are funny before you even make them speak.
That's very true. So, as we'll see, the Sammy Davis Jr. puppet is he's going to make a special appearance here in a minute or two. He's very funny looking. And the Willie Nelson is so real, it's almost scary. So... And I went that direction with him because I thought he would make a better realistic puppet. Most of my puppets are going to be caricatures, but with Willie, I think it just works, you know.
What I love about you as well is not only do you have great material, because let's face it, if they're not funny, if the jokes aren't funny, it won't work, but then you do their voices and then you sing. It's a triple threat of an act, really, isn't it?
Yes, I do impressions of singers. I'm doing upwards of 70, 75 impressions in the show now, 25 puppets, and I can do an impression of anyone. I have yet to find anyone that sings that I cannot do an impression of. And if I'm not able to do it now, I will work and work and work and not stop until I am able to perfect an impression of that person. So, like I said, limitless. And the comedy literally writes itself. I have so much fun. What I'll do is I'll get my writing team. I have 2 other writers, and we'll go to Disneyland. We really do. We'll go to Disneyland, and as we're standing in line waiting or getting a hamburger or whatever, we're writing material and just coming up with jokes and coming up with funny lines, and it's so much fun. But I really want my show to feel like you're having a little time at Disneyland. I want you to leave feeling on a high, like, oh my gosh, that was just exhilarating.
How do you keep the energy and how do you keep it so much fun? I saw a headliner down the strip just the other night and he had 2 naps during the first 15 minutes. It's tough, this Vegas, isn't it? Churning these shows out. You always seem like you want to be there. Is it just because you're just so grateful that you're not on the road having to do crappy clubs every night?
You hit the nail on the head. I am so thankful and grateful to be here because believe me, I did 20 years of playing for elementary school kids, which half of them didn't get the jokes I was telling. And then when I would play a county fair, they would usually stick me over at the petting zoo and clowns would be running around during my performance. So to be able to have my own stage, the Terry Fator stage at the Mirage, and have people come from all over the world, and they do, people come from all over the world and plan an entire trip around seeing my show. How can I ever be ungrateful for that?
There's an anomaly in both our careers, which I think is interesting. 10 years ago, we both started, me online on YouTube and you through the TV show. And it was the turning point where it made megastars, really. I wonder whether the online stuff is one of the reasons you're successful also, because this global audience can reach you at the click of a mouse. It's interesting. 10 years before, that wouldn't have been the case.
No doubt about it. In fact, before NBC went in and scrubbed all of the YouTube videos of my season, somebody had posted my first audition with Emma Taylor, Singing at Last. It had 150 million hits. And I cannot tell you how disappointing it was when I went there and NBC had removed it because they wanted everything to be officially through the America's Got Talent. I'm like, who knows how many hits it would have been, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it literally went to hundreds of millions of people worldwide through YouTube. So I think both of us have the internet to thank for a lot of our success.
And how difficult is it when people give your act away by doing a TV show, you put it online and they repeat it? I mean, that's a pressure as well because you've constantly got to be doing new stuff because it's gone the second you've done it now.
No, see, I encourage it because I know that in a few months I'm going to have a lot of new stuff. So I have no problem with that. I'm definitely not one of those people that wants to say, I did it, I wrote the perfect show, and I feel like this is the perfect show. But I know next year's show is going to be better. And the next character I create is going to be better. And that's my challenge to myself and my challenge for my audience to make sure they always have something new. And that way, I say, you'll see in the show right at the beginning, I say, pull out your cameras, take pictures and videos. Don't mind, doesn't bother me. Get this online because if you come and see me in 6 months, you're going to see some new stuff. So I love it. It's actually fun for me. So I'm a workaholic in that way.
It's incredibly brave and also very smart. Let's talk about the puppets themselves because these are works of art and they take weeks, if not months, to be prepared, to be ready, to be produced, to get on stage. Tell us about them, where you get them from, who does it, and that whole process.
I have people from all over the world, literally all over the world. And for example, this Willie Nelson puppet was made from a guy in Denmark, and it's WernerPuppets.com is his. And would you remember his first name? I cannot. For some reason, his first name has just gone out of my head. But it's Werner, and he sent me the pictures of these puppets, and it was like, oh my gosh, they're perfect. And he said, I created these just for you. He didn't even ask me. He said, I created these for you, and if you don't want to buy them, that's fine. I'll just kind of put them in, let them be here and display. But he was so proud of them, and I went, yes. So it was Willie Nelson and Stevie Wonder. Now with Sammy Davis Jr., just like with Michael Jackson and Justin Bieber, and wait until you see the Justin Bieber. It's one of the coolest puppets you'll ever see in your life.
I hope it's very skinny.
He was very skinny and the best looking puppet ever, which of course if it's Justin Bieber, it's going to have to be. But I met a guy named Chance Wolf at the Ventriloquist Convention, and yes, there is a Ventriloquist Convention in Cincinnati, Ohio in July every year. And I met this guy, and I loved his work. And I said, we need to work together. And so we started kind of calling and giving each other ideas. And one of my favorite aspects of the kind of monetary success I've had is that my imagination is no longer shackled by a lack of funds. I mean, I have created hundreds of characters in my mind over the last 43 years. And most of those I was not able to create because I just didn't have the ingenuity to do the creation, and I didn't have the money to pay someone who did have that ingenuity. And now, if I can think it, I can get it created.
Just the other day, I was at Caesars talking to Wayne Newton, and we were talking about the halcyon days of Las Vegas, and you are it. You really are the last star that's given that sort of halcyon day Vegas star treatment.
That is an honor to have heard that, especially from someone like Wayne Newton, because he's one of my idols, as anyone who plays in Vegas would have to say, to feel, that, my gosh, it's Wayne Newton, for crying out loud. And I love him dearly as a person. I've met him many times, and he's amazing. But, I think a lot of that goes two ways. In other words, what I give to the Mirage as that kind of entertainer, they receive from my work ethic and my commitment to putting out the best and to making sure that every time a person comes to my show, they're going to leave saying that was the best show I've ever seen. So when you're doing that and that your casino feels that way, I feel like it's all going to come circle again. I think that eventually when you have other people who have the same commitment, because Wayne Newton had the exact same commitment. You don't find people like that anymore. You find people that are like, yeah, I put together a great show. I'm going to do my show. And then now what are we going to do now? They're not out there. Every day I'm creating, every day I'm writing, every day I'm working. And I have fun too, but even when I have fun, like I said, I go to Disneyland and write. So I add my work. And when you have that kind of commitment, that's why you get treated that way among with this. And it is Manfred Werner. Thank you. That's BJ, my assistant. Thank you. Appreciate that. Manfred just emailed me right out of the blue, sent me pictures of Stevie Wonder and Willie Nelson, and it was like, whoa. He's making more for me in the future too. So
you're going to meet those characters in a moment from now. I wonder how Vegas is doing right this second. I think it's an exciting time. You've got Lady Gaga as a headliner coming in, $5,000 a ticket, which is ludicrous. You've got Chris Angel just opened with this incredible, beautiful show, Mind Freak, and there's people like you still here. It is still an exciting time for entertainment. I think people, though, are making wiser choices about how they spend their dollar.
You're absolutely right. And you just mentioned two of the people that I'm referring to, people with that work ethic that's going to make sure. And Chris Angel is a dear friend. I have not met Lady Gaga, but I love her work ethic. And she was one of those where who knew how talented she was until she did the duets with Tony Bennett. And I went, okay, she's legit. At first it was like, oh, she's the lady in the meat dress, and then she does these unbelievable. And then of course A Star Is Born. Holy mackerel! So now it's like, okay, she's the real deal. And that's what I'm talking about, though. You have somebody who just comes out with raw talent. Chris Angel is another one, and he is so committed to making sure his show is fresh and good and perfect. And eventually the entire strip's going to be filled with people like that, and that's how it works.
And so it should be, because if you come here and see a bad show, I always say this, it will ruin your impression of Vegas forever. When you see someone like you or Chris and you're wowed and blown away, that's the feeling you want, because then you're going to come back excited.
Exactly, and that's when you say the greatest entertainers go to Vegas. Right. And that's why people feel that way. And people ask me, I've been asked so many times, why did people, and they don't feel this way anymore, because now there's very successful ventriloquists, that are performing all over the world. But there was a lull, and when I first hit it big, people say, why do you think people have a low opinion of ventriloquists? And I said, well, because most of the ventriloquists we've seen are bad ventriloquists at birthday parties or at children's church. So we've not seen that kind of quality entertainment. They're there. It's just they're not getting television exposure, because there's always been an amazing crop of amazing ventriloquists. We just didn't know where they were. They were in Branson, which is not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But if you didn't go to Branson, you didn't see them. And so it's really fun to be able to bring something, to bring entertainment. And I don't just feel like I'm a ventriloquist. I'm obviously a comedian, a ventriloquist, a puppeteer, a singer, and just an all-around entertainer, which is why I call myself the voice of entertainment.
And also a businessman as well, because it is show business, and you've mastered that too. And what's interesting about the shows in England, the X Factors, the Britain's Got Talent, these type of shows are now killing themselves, because the whole business is about forgetting the guy who won it last year, because this year you've got to make a new one. It wasn't like that in your day, was it? They were happy for you to be a star and then brought you back year after year. Thank God you got in when you did.
So true. I mean, it was, the universe came together at the right moment to make me the headliner at the Mirage, and to have the type of success that I've had. I'm so grateful, and I will never, and that's one of the reasons why I don't forget, and I never get a cocky attitude thinking it doesn't matter. It always matters. Every show matters. I can go out there, and my assistant will attest to this. I have been out there so sick I can barely stand up, and my audience never knows that I'm sick, has no clue. I will come off stage and collapse in the wings, and the audience has no idea, because that's my commitment to them, because that's where they put me.
And my final question, how are you not an arsehole when you're so rich and so successful? Because it would be easy to be that, wouldn't it?
Well, I surrounded myself with a lot of teams that would very gladly point it out if I was. And I believe I have a very strong belief in God, and my desire, my true desire in life is to please God. And I don't believe you can be an a-hole, and please God, I just don't think you can. So
you're one of the nicest and most talented people we've ever met, but I do prefer meeting your friends. Can we meet a couple of them now?
Absolutely.
And our final guest on the program today, well, look at this man, instantly recognizable and frankly delicious.
I like that Candyland. Who can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with dew?
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you.
Okay, this has got to be the funniest puppet I've ever seen. This is beautiful.
That's very kind of you. It's amazing, though. This guy can't do nothing without him standing next to me. It's almost as if he's my shadow. Get it? Shadow? He is my shadow?
Yeah, very good. Very nice. We like it. Isn't he beautiful? He's so beautiful, though. And the same guy who made my Justin Bieber puppet and my Michael Jackson puppet made this guy. And he's making the puppet that I'm going to unveil in my 11th anniversary. So we'll see you next year.
It's the eye with this, isn't it?
Yes, and again, so we're showing the video, but Sammy Davis Jr. had a glass eye. He was in an automobile accident and lost one of his eyes. And so I asked the guy who made it, I said, make sure that only, his right eye works, because the real Sammy Davis only had one eye. And I didn't do it for funny.
Although it is kind of funny, isn't it?
I did it more for the realism of just it, and it's not, it's just, I just love that little bit. And maybe somebody might not even notice it, but I think subconsciously they're going to pick up on it. And that's the kind of attention to detail I want. I went to Disney one time, and I got the pleasure, because I'm a celebrity, they actually let me go on the Pirates of the Caribbean with the lights on. And one of the things that struck me was that even in the corners you'll never, ever, ever see when you're on that ride, they had coins and treasure chests and pirates and other things. And I was like, this is unbelievable. There was not one part of that ride that was not decorated. Even the ones that were in the dark and you would never ever see. And that to me is the type of, you have to have that kind of commitment to quality. Every part of your show has to be perfect and honed, and you got to think of little things like the glass eye.
And again, the one thing I've learned about people like you and Chris is the obsession. If you're not seeing everything, it's never going to be that good. It only is this good because you care about every second.
Exactly. And you want to make sure. And my job is to entertain that audience out there, which is why even if I make a mistake, and I do, I'm human just like everybody else, unfortunately for somebody like Chris Angel, it can be dangerous. But for me, it's not dangerous if a puppet forgets a line or I do the wrong voice, which has happened. My job is to entertain the audience. So as long as I bring the audience into it,
they usually think it was on purpose.
Yeah, that's true.
Even when it wasn't.
Exactly.
You say it's not dangerous, but the hand in the wrong place could be incredibly dangerous for him.
I kind of like it.
No. We're not going to go there.
Congratulations. He's beautiful. It's hysterical and brilliant. Terry Fator, thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. I love spending time with you. I really do.
Now we need to meet a real star. I mean, you're a Las Vegas star, Terry.
Exactly.
But of course, we have an incredible star here, Mr. Nelson. I never thought I'd have the opportunity.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
I noticed there's smoke rising from behind you. What is it?
Well, my eyes are made of glass, so I'm glassy-eyed for sure.
What's it like working with Terry? I mean, I mentioned earlier in the interview that I worry that sometimes he could get full of himself. Is he a nice man to be on stage with?
Well, I'm definitely full of Terry right now.
I didn't know you were going to say that.
No, I came up with that all on my own.
Right. So
no, I don't think Terry gets full of himself. He has a great wife that keeps him grounded. Good team that keeps him grounded. So he doesn't.
I'll tell you the secret to that. Don't believe your own hype. Realize that that's a character I play. It's not me. It's the guy that when I'm on stage, I'm playing a character. When I'm off stage, I'm just Terry.
And in terms of your character, let's talk about the hair, because this would be lovely for something like The Sound of Music musical, a nice lady's haircut.
What? That's how I wear my hair. What are you trying to say, Alex?
Well, it's peculiar.
I don't think it's peculiar at all. And it smells like weed.
I wonder what the smoke was. And tell me about the singing. I mean, do we get to hear you perform during the Terry Fator show? Because really, it doesn't deserve you. I mean, you're a legend.
I'll sing. Maybe I didn't hold you quite as often as I could have. And maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. If I made you feel second best, girl, I'm sorry I was blind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind.
That's
Very nice.
wonderful. Beautiful.
I wish I could sing like that.
Just incredible. How long does it take you to get it that good?
You know, I just listen to it over and over. It can take, hundreds of hours. But I just listen and get all the little nuances.
And is it the vibrato? Is it that little wiggle in his voice that's the key to that? Because there's certain things people do, like with your trump, which is one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen. There's some obvious things, but you've got to do them really well for it to be impressive.
Yeah, you just find you find hooks. For him, it's the drone. You kind of have that little sound where you just push the sound to the back of your throat, and that sounded good. Holy crap! I didn't know you could do me. Well,
And the facial hair, where do we buy this? Is it in the supermarket?
You know, I actually have no idea. The guy that Manfred Werner made this from Denmark, and he's an astounding puppet maker. WernerPuppets.com. It's incredible.
You've got this amazing gift on stage that we forget you're even there because you're so good at what you do, and we look at him and he becomes real. That's the joy of a magnificent vent, right?
And that's the best compliment I could possibly have, is when I sing by myself and people after the show come up to me and they say, I didn't know you could sing. I'm like, then I did my job. If you didn't know I could sing, and I'm literally the one doing every song out there, that means I did my job.
And we shouldn't forget that there are shows on this strip where people do not sing live and get a standing ovation for people playing a CD. I've seen 2 or 3 since I've been here. Is it worth putting a little thing at the beginning saying everything you're about to see is live? Because some people forget it's so clever what you do.
I never actually thought of that, but maybe we should make a reference.
Make a note of that, listen.
That'll be $5,000. Willie, it was lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Nice to meet you.